Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Biden pledges response if Houthis continue outrageous behavior, calls Yemen's Houthis a terrorist group after US and the UK strike Houthi targets in Yemen overnight. Polls open to elect a new president and legislature in Taiwan's critical elections watched closely by China. Voters to choose successor to Tsai Ing-wen. Spinners Kuldeep Yadav and Akshar Patel have been called up for the first 2 tests against England. The series begins on January 25th. The US military has carried out an additional strike against the Houthis in Yemen after President Joe Biden's administration vowed to protect shipping in the Red Sea. Now, according to US officials, the strike targeted a radar site in Yemen. Radar infrastructure has been a key target in the US military effort to halt Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. The latest strike came a day after the US and British forces launched a wave of attacks on nearly 30 locations in the country to degrade the Houthis' ability to strike the Red Sea shipping zone. US President Joe Biden on Friday called Yemen's Houthi forces a terrorist group and warned that the US would respond if the Yemeni rebels continued outrageous behavior in attacking the Red Sea shipping zone.
We will make sure that we respond to the Houthis if they continue this outrageous behavior. It's irrelevant whether they're designated. We've put together a group of nations that are going to say that if they continue to act and behave as they do, we'll respond.
Meanwhile, the United States and Britain on Friday defended to the UN Security Council the legality of strikes they launched against Houthis for attacking Red Sea shipping zone. The US and UK envoy said the military strikes carried out against the Houthis in retaliation for Yemeni groups' attacks on ships in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. While Russia called the US and British operation disproportionate and illegal, other countries expressed concerns that the strikes against 28 locations would stoke regional tensions.
The aim of these strikes was to disrupt and degrade the Houthis' ability to continue their reckless attacks against vessels and commercial shipping in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. These strikes were necessary and they were proportionate. Colleagues, the United States does not desire more conflict in a region already plagued by so much of it. Our aim is simple: to de-escalate tensions and restore stability in the Red Sea while upholding the fundamental principles of freedom of navigation.
The attacks by Houthis on vessels in the Red Sea must stop. We have made this clear to the Houthis, and we call on them to de-escalate. The United Kingdom is committed to continue working with the international community and this Council to combat this international threat. We have published a summary of our legal position on last night's strikes and have reported to the Council in writing in accordance with Article 51 of the UN Charter.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged countries to avoid an escalation in the situation in the Red Sea. His spokesman said on Friday after Washington and London launched strikes on Yemen's Houthi rebels.
We are just extremely worried about the risks and the greater risks of escalation of this. The Secretary General further calls on all parties involved not to escalate even more the situation in the interest of peace and stability in the Red Sea and the wider region. Furthermore, the Secretary General stresses the need to avoid acts that could further worsen the situation in Yemen itself. He calls for every effort to be made to ensure that Yemen pursues a path of peace and that the work undertaken thus far to end the conflict in Yemen should not be lost.
The US and the UK attacked Houthi targets in Yemen after Iran-backed group continued attacking ships in the Red Sea. The multinational operation was supported by Australia, Canada, the Netherlands and Bahrain. The strikes run the risk of widening the Israel-Hamas conflict in Gaza.
Were promised and delivered as the US and the UK launched airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen. The strikes came in response to the group's attacks on ships in the Red Sea. Last month, the US formed a coalition of more than 20 nations called Operation Prosperity Guardian to deter the Houthis and protect commercial shipping lanes in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. A Houthi spokesperson said that 5 of its fighters had been killed in the strikes.
The American and British enemies bear full responsibility for their criminal aggression against our Yemeni people. It will not go unpunished or unanswered. The Yemeni armed forces will not hesitate to target threatening sources and all hostile targets on land and sea in order to defend Yemen, its sovereignty and independence.
Witnesses in Yemen confirmed explosions throughout the country, saying that raids targeted a military base adjacent to Sana'a Airport, a military site near Taiz Airport, a Houthi naval base in Hudaydiyah, a Houthi naval base in Hudaydah, and military sites in Hajjah. The US says that the strikes were carried out by aircraft, ships, and a submarine. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak of the UK confirmed that the country's air force participated in the attacks. He said that the UK will stand up for freedom of navigation and free flow of trade.
Well, we've carried out a series of strikes together with allies which will, we believe, degrade and disrupt the capability. The types of things that we've targeted are launch sites for missiles and for drones. Initial indications are that those strikes have been successful. We'll continue to monitor the situation, but it's clear that this type of behavior can't be met without a response. We need to send a strong signal that this breach of international law is wrong. People can't act like this with impunity, and that's why, together with allies, we've decided to take this action.
Australia, Canada, and the Netherlands supported the military operation by the US and the UK. Australian personnel were involved in the operation.
Australia's support of these actions came in the form of personnel in the operational headquarters. These are very important actions. The actions that have been taken today, supported by Australia, are about maintaining freedom of navigation on the high seas. They are about maintaining global trade. And that is completely central to Australia's national interest.
Japan supported the US and the UK actions.
Japan condemns the Houthi forces' continued actions that violate rights and free passage of vessels around Arabian Peninsula, including the Red Sea. Also, Japan supports the US and its allies' decision to fulfill their responsibilities in order to secure the free and safe passage of vessels.
But Saudi Arabia called for self-restraint and avoiding escalation. Russia sought an urgent meeting of the United Nations Security Council. US President Joe Biden said that he would not hesitate to take further action if needed. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar spoke to his US counterpart Anthony Blinken about maritime security, especially the Red Sea region. Bureau Report, DD India.
Israel has rejected South Africa's acquisitions at the United Nations top court, calling them grossly distorted. It also said that the court lacks jurisdiction over Israel-Hamas conflict. South Africa filed a lawsuit at the International Court of Justice, asking judges to impose emergency measures to immediately halt fighting in Gaza. Israel told the court that its actions in the enclave are an act of self-defense against Hamas. Moving on to South Asia now, polling is underway in Taiwan's presidential and parliamentary elections. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen cast her vote shortly after tightly contested presidential and parliamentary polls opened on Saturday. Tsai is Tsai is constitutionally barred from standing again after 2 terms in office. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party, which champions Taiwan's separate identity and rejects China's territorial claims, is seeking a 3rd term in office with its candidate, current Vice President Lai Ching-te. Taiwan has been a democratic success story since holding its first direct presidential election in 1996. That was the culmination of decades of struggle against authoritarian rule and martial law. Taiwan's incumbent vice president and presidential candidate of the ruling DPP, Lai Ching-te, cast his vote. Talking to media, Lai said that he is committed to preserving peace across the Taiwan Strait and to keep boosting the island's defenses. He encouraged people to come out in large numbers to cast their ballots. Lai is facing 2 opponents for the presidency, Hu Yui of Taiwan's largest opposition party, the Kuomintang, and former Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je of the small Taiwan People's Party, founded in 2019. Former Taipei Mayor and presidential candidate of Taiwan People's Party, Ko Wen-je, also cast his vote. Ko has won a passionate support base, especially among young voters, for focusing on bread and butter issues such as the high cost of housing. He also wants to re-engage China, but insists that cannot come at the expense of protecting Taiwan's democracy and way of life. All right, DD India correspondent Patrick Folk will join us in a short while from now to get us more on the Taiwan presidential elections. But at present, we're head for a break. And after the break, we'll tell you more that no respite for people is envisioned in Ecuador. Police brace up with stepped-up security operations to counter the dramatic surge in violence. The U.S. state of Iowa braves blizzard conditions as heavy rain and snow ahead of Monday's caucus as the state's traditional primary season kicks off. After the break, we also get you a sneak peek of the behind the scenes before the upcoming 75th Emmy Awards in Los Angeles.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political, and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times. In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. Before heading for the break, we just got you a broad outline of the parliamentary and presidential elections in Taiwan. DD India correspondent Patrick Folk is joining us from Taiwan. Patrick, we tell our viewers that presidential polls are underway in Taiwan. Get us the latest update as to how the day is progressing with regard to the polling, the voter turnout. And also, how important is this election with regard to the international interest and curiosity that it has garnered?
You know, this election is being very closely watched internationally. It is a critical vote and critical to the US in particular because Taiwan plays a key role in its Indo-Pacific strategy. Essentially, in the event that China were to annex Taiwan, then the US, or it's thought that the US would no longer be able to give its allies in the region the security it's been able to do for decades as it has done. The vote is expected to be a tight race. There was a lot of last-minute campaigning and rallying last night. Hundreds of thousands of people turned out for that, so one would expect that the voter turnout today is going to be significant. It's difficult to say just how tight this race is going to be, though, because Taiwan doesn't allow opinion polls in the final days leading up to the election. But we do know that the opposition parties have been gaining ground on the front runner, William Lai, who is despised by Beijing. Beijing sees the Democratic Progressive Party as separatists, and it has repeatedly warned against Taiwan voting him in. It said that there would be severe danger if William Lai were to take over from the incumbent, Tsai Ing-wen. So, you know, this is, as I say, very closely watched. The outcome of this vote is going to have critical implications for this future relation between Beijing and Taipei.
All right, Patrick, also, you know, talking of the nerve of the voters, what are you picking up from the local populace there?
Well, look, I mean, you know, we talk about the China question in the context of Taiwan, but there are lots of grassroots issues here as well. And many people are concerned about the economy and the cost of living, housing prices, and so on and so forth. And one of the candidates is trying to capitalize on that. Ko Wen-je of the newly formed Taiwanese People Party is focusing on these grassroots issues, and he's appealing to a lot of young voters in particular. You know, he is appealing to younger voters and as an alternative to the status quo of the main two parties, if you like. But at the same time, you know, China has been stepping up its threats in recent days and weeks and months. And in a sense, you could say that that's backfired against Beijing because it's very much put the China question back into the spotlight when people are concerned about other issues here as well. Ko, importantly, could be a real disruptor in this race and is seen to possibly take votes away from the Democratic Progressive Party in the presidential and legislative elections as well. So, you know, it's very hard to say just now how this is going to turn out, but we're going to be watching very closely in the coming hours to see if we get a better indication. There is expected to be a sense of who's going to win early on in the evening.
All right, Patrick, also a quick word as to what the future holds for the new administration that is elected, because we've seen since 1996 Taiwan has been has been a democratically success story. But from here on, talking of the China questions, the China question, and talking of other issues, how do you evaluate what the future holds for the new administration? I think we've lost contact there with Patrick Folk. Patrick, are you there with us? All right, we've lost contact there with Patrick. We'll try getting back to him again to get more on the Taiwan presidential elections. Meanwhile, let's turn focus to other updates. The United States and Japan reaffirmed their partnership built on shared values during a meeting at the State Department on Friday. At the meeting with Japan's Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the U.S.-Japan alliance was a cornerstone of peace, security and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. Last month, Japan said it would prepare to ship Patriot air defense missiles to the U.S. after revisiting its arms export guidelines. Kamikawa also pledged millions of dollars to NATO to help Ukraine in her unannounced visit to Ukraine last week.
Our alliance, the alliance between Japan and the United States, is truly the cornerstone of peace, security, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. But I think what we've seen in recent years, but especially over the last couple of years, is an alliance that has reached new heights, where we are working together not only on a bilateral basis, not only on a regional basis, but genuinely on a global basis. And this partnership with the United States is absolutely critical and deeply valued.
Alaska Airlines said that it will extend its cancellation of Boeing 737 MAX 9 flights through Tuesday, January 16th. Now, the extension is for the planes that have been grounded since last week after an aircraft's cabin panel blew out midair. Alaska has been cancelling about 20% of daily flights since Saturday after the grounding of its 65 MAX 9 planes. U.S. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, would be willing to testify in a public hearing if Republicans in the House of Representatives issued a new subpoena. In fact, his lawyer said on Friday. The offer comes 2 days after the panels moved ahead with historic efforts to hold Hunter Biden in contempt. Hunter Biden is involved in several legal disputes aside from the congressional probes. On Thursday, he pleaded not guilty in a California federal court for tax charges. Let's get to updates from Ecuador now. The police and army of the South American nation have stepped up security operations nationwide following a dramatic increase in violence this week. Over 20 people have been arrested by the armed forces in several raids so far. The Noboa administration has meanwhile asked lawmakers to weigh an increase in value-added tax to finance efforts to combat crime gangs. Ecuadorian president visited the television station TC in Guayaquil on Friday, which was stormed on Tuesday by an armed group during a live broadcast. Noboa spoke to the workers and reported victims of the violent attack and toured the studios where the armed hooded men broke in. A dramatic spike in violence this week, including the on-air storming of a television station, the hostage-taking of 178 prison staff by inmates, and the kidnapping of police officers appears to be a response by gangs to President Noboa's plans to tackle a dire security situation. Noboa, who took office in November, has declared a state of emergency and named 22 gangs as terrorist organizations. The International Monetary Fund approved a $100 million loan to Gambia on Friday. IMF said that the loan aims to strengthen the West African country's economic recovery and help it address inflation and foreign exchange pressures. The new 3-year loan program replaces a recently completed $47 million IMF loan program granted to Gambia in March 2020. Microsoft has overtaken Apple to become the world's most valuable publicly traded company for the first time since 2021 after Apple's shares made a weak start to the year on growing concerns over demand. Microsoft's shares have risen sharply since last year due to the company's early lead in artificial intelligence. Microsoft's stock closed 0.5% higher, while Apple's shares closed 0.3% lower. Wall Street is more positive on Microsoft as the company has no sale rating, while Apple has 2 sale ratings. Carpenters finished working on the medieval core of the Notre Dame de Paris Cathedral on Friday. They affixed a bunch of flowers to the framework of the building's core to celebrate finishing work on it. The traditional carpenter celebration involved workers gathering and waving axes forged using the 12th century models. 1,000 oaks have been selected to rebuild the spire and the frame of the cathedral's transept, which caught fire in 2019. Around 500 people are working to reconstruct the cathedral every day. Notre Dame is set to reopen for religious services and public in December 2024. Scientists have warned of a staggering trend of scorching heat after 2023 emerged as the world's hottest year on record. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said that there was a 1 in 3 chance that 2024 would be warmer than 2023 and a 99% chance that it would rank among the 5 warmest on record.
What we're going to see is with climate change and global temperatures increasing, it doesn't mean that we're going to have warmer temperatures everywhere all the time. What it means is we're going to see variable weather events. So when we have a hurricane, it might be more extreme, or when we have a drought, it might last for a longer period of time, or an intense rainstorm might last for a longer period of time. And we've certainly seen that across the North America and even into South America, where we see these extreme weather events happening more often perhaps than we've seen them in the past, or with more variability than we've seen in the past.
Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. The U.S. state of Iowa is bracing for blizzard conditions as heavy wind and snow blasted across areas on Friday. A storm warning has been issued across the state with freezing conditions. The heavy snow comes ahead of Monday's caucus as the state's traditional primary season kicks off. Experts and authorities in Peru dismissed the discovery of alien mummies in the country on Friday. They said the 2 objects found were dolls made from animal bones. The findings come after a scientific analysis into 2 small humanoid dolls seized in October last year at one of the shipping offices at Peru's Lima airport. The Academy of Television Arts and Sciences on Friday gave a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes before the upcoming 75th Emmy Awards in Los Angeles. This year's show will be hosted by 11-time Emmy nominee Anthony Anderson. It is also the Emmys that are for the first time produced by an all-African-American production team. The 2024 Primetime Emmy will broadcast on January 15th. A short break ahead, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval calls Mahatma Gandhi a great strategist at a book launch ceremony. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra continues to traverse different corners of the country. Currently in Banihal in Jammu and Kashmir, the Yatra continues to apprise people about the government welfare measures. And we get you ahead the softer side of our valiant security personnel. BSF personnel celebrated the festival of Lohri along with locals in India's Jammu and Kashmir.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories once again. Biden pledges response if Houthis continue outrageous behavior. Calls Yemen's Houthis a terrorist group after US and the UK strike Houthi targets in Yemen overnight. Polls open to elect a new president and legislature in Taiwan's critical elections watched closely by China. Voters to choose successor to Tsai Ing-wen. Spinners Kuldeep Yadav and Akshar Patel have been called up for the first two tests against England. The series begins on January 25th. In a key diplomatic visit, Emmanuel Bon, the diplomatic advisor to French President Emmanuel Macron, is on a one-day visit to Delhi. He met India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Both the leaders spoke about strong India-France convergence on multiple issues. Both also shared perspectives on global development of mutual concern. Underlining the significance of the Trade Policy Forum in forging robust bilateral trade ties and in enhancing the overall economic relationship, 14th ministerial level meeting of the India-United States Trade Policy Forum was held in New Delhi on Friday. Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal and US Trade Representative Ambassador Catherine Tai co-chaired the meeting. Both the leaders welcomed the strong momentum in India-US bilateral trade in goods and services, which continue to rise and likely surpass the $200 billion in calendar year 2023, despite a challenging global trade environment. They acknowledged that considering the size of their economies, significant potential remains unrealized and expressed their mutual desire to further enhance engagement with the goal of continuing to increase and diversify bilateral trade. In this regard, the ministers underlined the significance of the TPF in forging a robust economic relationship. The United States welcomed India's decision to reduce the timeline for reaching 20% ethanol blending with petrol from 2030 to 2025 and for the launch of the Global Biofuels Alliance, as well as the India-US Biofuels Task Force. Indian Coast Guard and Japan Coast Guard successfully conducted joint exercise Sahyog Kaijin in South India's Chennai. Japan Coast Guard ship Yashima and Indian Coast Guard fleet, including 9 ships and 6 aircraft from eastern region, participated in the exercise. Coast Guards of India and Japan carried out joint operations like search and rescue, pollution response and firefighting. The exercise aimed at enhancing cooperation in dealing with maritime incidents and validating common SOPs. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval on Friday said that Mahatma Gandhi was not against the use of hard power against the British in India's freedom struggle. He said that Mahatma Gandhi was a great strategist and a warrior who could effectively use soft power against a mightier power, the Britishers, in an asymmetric war during the freedom struggle. He was speaking at the launch of the book Gandhi, A Life in 3 Campaigns by former minister and writer M.J. Akbar.
I'm not very sure how much Gandhi really consciously was fully opposed to the people who were exercising the hard power. He did not support them. He did not stand by them. But probably he was not that much against both. Let it coexist. He was not also against probably some of the revolutionaries. He did not approve their ways, but he did not condemn them, both for their intent and for this thing. It added that soft power blended with this hard power actually became the India's smart power.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday inaugurated the country's longest bridge, the Atal Setu in Mumbai. It is also the longest sea bridge in the country. He also laid the foundation stone of development projects in Navi Mumbai. Shama Mishra and Shishir Shelar sent us this report.
January 12, 2024 marks a date with history in transport infrastructure development in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the country's longest bridge, Atal Setu, in financial capital of Mumbai. The bridge, which is also the longest sea bridge in the country, will strengthen urban transport infrastructure and connectivity. It will improve the ease of mobility of citizens. Prime Minister said that it will enhance the ease of living for citizens. The bridge is about 21.8 kilometer long with 6-lane bridges having about 16.5 kilometer length over sea and about 5.5 kilometer on the land. It has been constructed at a total cost of more than 17,840 crore rupees, which is about $2.1 billion. The foundation stone of the bridge was laid by the Prime Minister in December 2016. The bridge will provide faster connectivity to Mumbai International Airport and Navi Mumbai International Airport and will also reduce the time of travel from Mumbai to Pune, Goa and South India. Later in the afternoon, the Prime Minister also participated in a public program in Navi Mumbai. He laid the foundation stone of multiple development projects worth more than 12,000 crore rupees or $1.5 billion. These projects are the underground road tunnel connecting Eastern Freeway's Orange Gate to Marine Drive. The 9.2-kilometer tunnel will be built at a cost of more than 8,700 crore rupees or more than $1 billion. The tunnel will reduce travel time between Orange Gate and Marine Drive. Prime Minister also dedicated Phase 1 of the Surya Regional Bulk Drinking Water Project to the nation. During the program, the Prime Minister also dedicated about 2,000 crore rupees or $241 million railway project to the nation. Prime Minister also inaugurated the Bharat Ratnam or the Mega Common Facilitation Centre for Gems and Jewellery sector at Santa Cruz Electronic Export Processing Zone. It is the first of its kind in India with best available machines in the world, including 3D metal printing. Prime Minister also inaugurated the new Enterprises and Services Tower. Namo Mahila Sashaktikaran Abhiyan to empower women in the state of Maharashtra was also launched today. Prime Minister termed these development projects as examples of good governance.
आज यहाँ देश के मुंबई और महाराष्ट्र के विकास से जुड़े हुए 33,000 करोड़ रुपए के प्रोजेक्ट का शिलान्यास और लोकार्पण हुआ है। ये प्रोजेक्ट रोड, रेल, मेट्रो, पानी जैसी सुविधाओं से जुड़े हुए हैं। आज व्यापार जगत को मजबूती देने वाली आधुनिक भारत रत्नम और नेक्स्ट वन बिल्डिंग भी मुंबई के लिए को मिली है। इसमें से अधिकतर प्रोजेक्ट तब शुरू हुए थे जब महाराष्ट्र में पहली बार डबल इंजन की सरकार बनी थी। इसलिए महाराष्ट्र में देवेंद्र जी से लेकर के अब एकनाथ शिंदे जी, अजीत पवार जी तक पूरी टीम के प्रयासों का परिणाम है। मैं उन सबको बधाई देता हूं।
Earlier, the Prime Minister also visited an exhibition of Atal Setu after inaugurating India's longest sea bridge. These development projects aim to empower each citizen of the country and make a bold resolution to bring India closer to its goal of becoming a developed nation by 2024. With Bureau Inputs, Shyam Mishra and Maharash, along with Sheshir Salar, reporting for DD India.
27th National Youth Festival at Nashik in Maharashtra, where he spoke at length on the role that youth can play in nation building and the importance of youth empowerment. Vishal Baristo and Yogesh Sheetal report on this.
India celebrated the National Youth Day on Friday. To mark the occasion, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi travelled to Nashik in the Indian state of Maharashtra, where he inaugurated the 27th National Youth Festival. Prime Minister asked youth to work to take India to new heights.
समय हर किसी को अपने जीवन काल में एक सुनहरा मौका जरूर देता है। भारत के युवाओं के लिए समय का वो सुनहरा मौका अभी है। अमृत काल का ये कालखंड है। आज आपके पास मौका है इतिहास बनाने का, इतिहास में अपना नाम दर्ज कराने का।
National Youth Day is celebrated on the birth anniversary of the great Indian philosopher and social reformer Swami Vivekananda. Paying tribute to Swami Vivekananda, Prime Minister said that Swami Vivekananda filled the country with new energy and enthusiasm during the period of slavery. Prime Minister also witnessed a march past by the state's team and a cultural program on the theme of Viksit Bharat at 2047, Yuva ke liye, Yuva ke dwara. Prime Minister urged the youth to promote the use of local products and keep away from any kind of drugs and addiction.
जितना हो सके आप लोकल को स्थानीय प्रोडक्ट को प्रमोट करिए, मेड इन इंडिया प्रोडक्ट का ही इस्तेमाल करिए, किसी भी तरह की ड्रग्स और नशे की लत से बिल्कुल दूर रहिए।
The National Youth Festival is held every year from the 12th to the 16th of January. Presentations by youth include cultural performances, indigenous games, speeches, young artists camp, poster making and story writing, among others. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also offered prayers at Kala Ram Temple in Nasik, Maharashtra. Kala Ram Temple is situated in the Panchavati area of Nasik, along the banks of the river Godavari. His visit to the temple came ahead of the consecration ceremony of the Ram Mandir at Ayodhya in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh on January 22. Prime Minister also listened to the recitation of the Ramayan's Yudh Kand section at the temple. The recitation, delivered in Marathi, was seamlessly translated into Hindi for the Prime Minister through AI technology, highlighting the harmonious integration of ancient tales with modern advancements. With inputs from Vishal Barristo and Yogesh Sheetal, Bureau Report, DD India.
The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being undertaken across India with the aim to inform people about the government welfare measures by ensuring that their benefits reach the targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. The Yatra has reached India's Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The van arrived in Ramban district, where the local communities welcomed it with great enthusiasm. On this occasion, several beneficiaries shared their progressive stories under Meri Kahani, Meri Zubani. If you're trading in the stock market, then there is good news for you. Just as you can block your credit cards and debit cards immediately upon detection of any suspicious situation, you can now block your Demat account as well. However, the facility may take some time to be implemented. Indian market regulator SEBI, in a consultation paper released on Friday, has instructed brokers to make necessary arrangements by April 4th this year. Earlier, SEBI had received some complaints in which some brokers used to buy and sell shares without the permission of the customers because they had the login password. If customers face any such situation, then after 1st of July, they can avail the facility to block their trading account or freeze their money. And up next, we get to all the updates related to the big day in Ayodhya. Welcome to the enchanting tale of Ayodhya's resurgence, a city evolving from ancient heritage to contemporary cultural haven. From a surge in tourist footfall to an infrastructure revolution, Ayodhya's story is a captivating blend of tradition and modernity. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya gives us this report from Ground Zero.
In the heart of Uttar Pradesh, Ayodhya is no longer just a city, it's a magnet for explorers and pilgrims alike. Let's embark on a journey to uncover the remarkable transformation that's turning Ayodhya into a beacon of culture and connectivity. Tourist surge. Ayodhya witnessed a staggering influx of tourists in 2023. For every 15 visitors to the state, one set their sight on Ayodhya. From 2 lakh in 2017 to a phenomenal 2.03 crores in 2022. Ayodhya's allure saw many-fold increase. In 2023 alone, the city welcomed 6.3% of Uttar Pradesh's total tourists, making a turning point in its tourist landscape. Infrastructure revolution. As Ayodhya's popularity soars, the city is undergoing a revolutionary makeover. Aiming for a projection of 4 crore visitors annually by 2031, the government invests over 80,000 crores. The recently inaugurated airport and the railway stations are keystones, seamlessly blending cultural motifs with modern functionality. aesthetic enhancement. Beautification isn't limited to the structures. Ayodhya's roads, including Ram Path, Bhakti Path and Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Path, are widened and adorned, reflecting the commitment to elevate the city's aesthetics. The transformation extends to the ghats, with Guptar Ghat now a hub of water sports, temples and cultural shows. Connectivity and facilities. Enhanced road connectivity and thoughtful amenities ensure a seamless experience for residents, pilgrims and tourists. Multi-level car parking, 2,000 public toilets and efficient transportation options like buses and golf carts are testimony to Ayodhya's dedication to providing a world-class experience. The cultural fusion. Ayodhya's metamorphosis isn't just infrastructure, it is harmonious blend of culture and recreation. From sound and light shows narrating the Ramayana to proposed boat rides on the Saryu River, Ayodhya aims to be more than a destination. It aspires to be an unforgettable experience. Ayodhya, where every step echoes with history, welcomes you to witness its revival. Join us in this cultural symphony and experience Ayodhya, a city reborn with tradition intact and future embraced. With camera person Sanjay Jaina, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Ayodhya.
Mauritius cabinet has decided to the grant of a special leave of 2 hours on Monday, 22nd January, to the public officers of Hindu faith for the inauguration of Lord Temple in the Indian city of Ayodhya. According to a statement released by the Mauritius government, the inauguration of the Ram Temple is a landmark event as it symbolizes the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya. A civil engineer from India's Maharashtra has made an 11-feet replica of Ayodhya's Ram Temple at his home. The engineer started the construction before Diwali last year and he studied various designs on the internet to make an exact replica of the under-construction Lord Ram Temple in Ayodhya. He thought of doing something for the auspicious occasion and decided to make a model of the temple in his house. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called upon people across the country to light Sri Ram Jyoti or lamp in celebration of the consecration of Lord Ram Temple on 22nd January. Amidst this, the lamp made in Barabanki of Indian state of Uttar Pradesh is gaining widespread popularity, spreading its unique charm not only across the nation but also internationally. It has also become a means of economic empowerment for women associated with the self-help groups. So far, women connected to about 150 families in the district have created millions of lamps, sending them to various regions and cities, generating substantial income. A farmer from the Indian state of Gujarat has meticulously created a 1100 kg lamp for placement in the Ram Temple. This lamp, standing at 9.25 feet in height and 8 feet in width, has the capacity for 851 kilograms of ghee. The lamp is made from 5 metals: gold, silver, copper, zinc and iron. The lamp has been dispatched for Lord Ram Temple in Ayodhya for the consecration ceremony on January 22nd. Echoes of Lord Ram's name are being heard everywhere as preparations for Ram Temple in Ayodhya are in full swing. A painter has carved a beautiful painting of Ram Darbar on the walls of a street in Charma, city of Chhattisgarh. The wall-mounted picture of Ram Darbar is receiving a lot of praise from the public. The moment has now arrived and everyone is happy and excited about the inauguration of the temple. The length of the picture is approximately 1,000 feet. Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. India's security personnel of BSF celebrated the festival of Lohri along with local people in India's Jammu and Kashmir on the India-Pakistan international border. Lohri is a popular Indian festival that celebrates the beginning of the harvest season for winter crops. It is celebrated on January 13th or 14th every year. It is a joyous occasion marked by bonfire, music, dance and sweets. People dress in colorful clothes and gather around bonfires to sing songs. An international kite festival is organized in the western Indian city of Gujarat. A total of 153 international kite flyers from 55 countries, 68 national kite flyers from 12 states, and 865 kite flyers from 23 cities of Gujarat are participating in the event this year. The state's tourism department hosts the annual International Kite Festival, and this year, the 33rd edition is underway from January 7th to 14th. In the Indian state of Punjab, more than 95,000 pilgrims visited the historic Gurdwara Sri Kartarpur Sahib across the border last year through the Sri Kartarpur Sahib corridor. The corridor is providing an opportunity to the people, especially the Sikh pilgrims, to visit the historical Gurdwara Kartarpur Sahib located in Pakistan. It is also becoming a way for the families separated during partition to reunite, and about 23 such families have come together at Gurdwara Sri Kartarpur Sahib to refresh their past memories. India's Union Minister of State for Culture, Meenakshi Lekhi, inaugurated a Swadeshi Mela in the national capital. The Swadeshi Mela is organized with intent to promote the concept of Swadeshi, which is to promote indigenous product manufacturers, handicraft, health awareness, and various unique products by local artisans. A quick break ahead, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Stay with us to know what prompted US stocks to finish barely changed in spite of inflation data boosting expectations for the interest rate hikes by Fed. India faces tough Australia challenge in AFC Asian Cup. Aspiring for the coveted ticket to the Paris Olympics, Indian women's hockey team starts its campaign in the Olympic qualifiers against USA in the eastern city of Ranchi. Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Let's take a look at stories making it to the headlines from the Consumer Electronics Show 2024 underway in Las Vegas. A new pair of binoculars equipped with artificial intelligence was unveiled at Consumer Electronics Show 2024 this week. Might just give novice birders a bit of extra help in the field. Now, that expertise comes from AI that will look at the bird found in the wild by the birder via the binoculars and fly through Cornell's Merlin Bird ID app to find and identify the bird. For those who struggle with parking, Hyundai Mobis Crabwalk Mobion electric car concept could be the answer. Perfect for fitting into tight parking spaces, making 360-degree turns or gliding diagonally across lanes, the Mobius features the innovative e-corner system that allows all four wheels of the car to rotate and move independently, making almost any maneuver possible, allowing the car to move sideways like a crab, diagonally or even make pivot points. A number of indigenous autonomous vehicles made by Chinese companies wowed visitors and customers at the show, dramatizing fashionable designs and futuristic functions with imaginative ideas. At the expo, many sci-fi versatile products have turned fantasy into reality, including electric flying car that is capable of vertical takeoff and landing. US stocks finished barely changed on Friday as mixed bank earnings offset weaker than anticipated inflation data that boosted expectations for interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve. US producer prices unexpectedly fell in December last year as the cost of goods such as food and diesel declined. S&P 500 gained 3.59 points to settle at 4,783.83 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 2.58 points to 14,972.76. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 118.04 points to 37,592.98. Oil prices gained on Friday as some oil tankers diverted course from the Red Sea after overnight strikes by the US and Britain on Houthi targets in Yemen. Brent crude futures rose 1.1% to settle at $78.29 a barrel. The session high was more than $80. Now, this was the highest this year so far. US West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 0.9% to settle at $72.68, pairing gains after touching the 2024 high of $75.25. Let's get to updates from the world of sports now. In cricket, spinners Kuldeep Yadav and Akshar Patel have been included in the Indian team, while wicketkeeper Dhruv Jurel earned his maiden call-up for the first two tests against England. 22-year-old Jurel joins incumbent KL Rahul and KS Bharat as a third keeper in the squad. The 5-match series against England will begin in Hyderabad on January 25th and will be part of the World Test Championship. The Indian football team will take on Australia as they embark on their Group B journey in the AFC Asian Cup tournament in Qatar. Australia come into the Asian Cup as one of the pre-tournament favourites, having won the competition in 2015. Also, Australia defeated India 4-0 in their earlier encounter in the 2011 edition. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Twitter. In fact, Twitter and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.